My name is Layla Brown, and I am a doctoral student in cultural anthropology at Duke University. I am also working on a graduate certificate in women's studies in the women's studies department at Duke. Thanks to the Gender and Race Research Award I was granted by the Women's Studies Department, I was able to spend the summer doing preliminary fieldwork in the capital city of Caracas, Venezuela, and another more rural beach town in the eastern part of the country called Higuerote. My research examines intersections of race, class, and gender in Venezuela. In particular, I focus on the socio-political experiences of Afro-Venezuelan women in the broader Afro-Venezuelan movement and in the Venezuelan women's movement. The United Nations has declared 2011 the International Year of the African Descendant, and therefore there were numerous events held throughout the country by and about the Afro-Venezuelan community. 2011 also happens to be a census year for Venezuela, and it will be the first census in nearly a century and a half that will collect information about the racial demographics of the country, and is also the first census that will ask questions in regard to the specific experiences of women, such as their civil status, how many children they have, their level of education, and their access to health care. These questions will be asked in order to shed light on racial and gender disparities in the country. I was fortunate enough to arrive in Venezuela just as the fourth Encuentro de Afrodescendientes y las Transformaciones Revolucionarias en América Latina y el Caribe was taking place, where a number of Venezuelan and international diplomats and scholars were present, including Jesus Chucho Garcia, the preeminent Afro-Venezuelan scholar and the international face of the Afro-Venezuelan movement. What you see here is a panel of women scholars and activists from Venezuela, Colombia, Senegal, coming together to talk about the problems plaguing these women's communities, and also to sort of get together and get an idea of what it takes to sort of build a body of work of feminist scholarship on these communities that are written by and about these communities. I also arrived in Venezuela during the celebration of their bicentennial. And what you see here is a group called Café y Panela, which is from the region of the country called Vargas. And these are one of the many sort of fraternal groups that learn to play drums, African drums, and sing and dance in a sort of traditional manner. And each of the Afro-Venezuelan communities throughout the country has their sort of own tradition of how they sing and dance. I was also fortunate enough to be in Venezuela in June, which every year they have a festival, the San Juan Festival, the tambores of San Juan, the drums of San Juan. And what you see here is sort of the traditional dancing that takes place during these ceremonies. And each community, again, each Afro-Venezuelan community has their own dance and their own sort of variations of drum playing. And this is sort of a very large nationwide event. So finally, I just wanted to say thank you to the Women's Studies Department for the Gender and Race Research Award.